All right, you guys, these are your eccentric weighted box squats. Now, even if we've been squatting for a while, even if you're squatting a lot of weight, when we go to the eccentric mode, I want you to have a bench, a chair, a box behind you, something that your bum can touch and you can come back out of. Because when we add this eccentric equation, this eccentric intensity technique to the squat, it makes it a lot harder. The point of this is to actually make your squat move very slowly through the full range of motion of a squat, so that it's requiring so much more of your muscle fibers, putting so much more of a load under time under tension, on your glutes, your quads, your hamstrings, your hips, even your traps and stuff that are having to hold you upright, that it will require more of you. And so it's a great way to really build that muscle and build that strength in a way that just straight squats, even when we've loaded up that barbell, cannot do. So because it's going to require more of those muscle fibers, and the time under tension aspect of this is going to be harder for you, even though we're not going to be loading up a barbell today, you need to have that box behind you, so that you know that you can go clear to parallel, meaning getting your quads parallel to the floor in the bottom of that squat in the hole, and come out of it, even though we're not using a power up approach. We're not using momentum at all. This actually takes the momentum of a squat out of the squat, which is what makes it so much harder. So I'm gonna grab a weight. This weight actually becomes a counterweight. So this is gonna help you be able to feel like you're not falling backward in this squat as we go through it slowly. Now, most likely, I'm going to have you do a 4 count down eccentric move. So just to quickly recap, there's different contractions that a muscle will go through. So we have our contraction, right? And then we have our elongation of the muscle. That's eccentric. So we have concentric, contraction, eccentric, elongating, and then we have isometric, which is when it's not shortening or elongating, it's just contracting, like a plank. A plank is a perfect example of an isometric move. Everything is tightly contracted, but it's not shortening or lengthening in that contraction. We're going to focus on the elongating of the muscle today in the squat. So we're going to go through that eccentric motion of the squat slowly, and then we're not going to hold isometrically, we're going to come up out of it immediately, and the contraction out of that will only be 1 second. Most likely, look at your program for what I have time under tension written here, but most likely it'll be a 4-second eccentric squat, okay? But if it says 3 or 2, just do it that way. So what that means is, in the eccentric movement of the squat, so going down into the squatted position, we're going to count for 4 seconds. And then when we get to the bottom, we're just going to do our normal squat, cues the same as always, coming right back up quickly. So our core is in nice and tight, our shoulders are down and back. We're going to hinge at the hip first and let the rest of our body follow as we go down in it. We're going to do that nice and slow. You're going to want a smaller weight. This obviously will add a little resistance to the coming up, but that resistance shouldn't be really that much difference. It's just more for the counterweight for you, okay? So we're here, I'm in my nice form, ready to squat. You can get your feet out as wide as you want, or if you like a narrow stance, you can turn them out a little bit if you like. No sumo, we're not doing the sumo. Just a regular squat position, but everybody's feet like to be a little bit wider, a little bit more narrow. That's completely fine. Make sure your box is positioned behind you so you don't think you're gonna squat on it and not. And then you're just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, come up. Push through the heels when you come up, just like always. 1, 2, 3, 4, push through the heels, come up. There you go. Do that for your time or your reps that I've written in your program. Enjoy those eccentric squats. Do them nice and slow, and you'll really